A 6-year-old boy who struggles to survive after losing his family during the World War is found by two scouts and he is taken back to their military camp. Having found a new family, the boy must put all fear aside and join the fight against the Nazis, in order to stop them from destroying everything in their way. A young boy named Sergei has climbed on a tree and he enjoys the peace of nature. From up there, he is able to see his mother washing the clothes in the river, while his brother Peter is also present, and he is trying to fish. Peter comments that it must be scary being on that tree, but Sergei replies it is not scary at all. Their good time is interrupted by a German plane coming from the sky. Sergei's mother tells the kids they have to run. Sergei does not have enough time to get down, so the mother takes Peter and runs away. Sergei is not afraid of the plane. He grabs his slingshot and he shoots against the plane with it. In his childish imagination, he sees the plane being hit and destroyed. However, reality is very different. He can't find his mother and his brother, so he returns home. While he sleeps, his aunt rushes into the house to take him along to her own house. Little Sergei does not want to leave because his mother has entrusted him to feed the chicken. Let alone he can't go anywhere without her. His aunt is brutally honest with him, and she reveals his mother and brother were killed by the Germans. The Germans arrive on foot and the aunt helps Sergei escape through the window. She tells the boy to run, while the German soldiers walk into the house and shoot her. Sergei makes a run for the woods. At some point, he stops and takes a look back at his house, which is now burning. The boy is terrified as he has to spend the night alone in the woods. He screams for his mother, but she is nowhere to be found. The next morning, the boy finds a lake and goes on to drink some water. Then, he hears some German soldiers approach, so he runs to hide inside the trunk of a large tree. The German soldiers light a fire near the lake, and take some time to relax. The boy watches them opening their cans of food and eating. Suddenly, Sergei sees a snake lurking right above his head, and he puts his hand over his mouth in order to hold himself from screaming. Luckily, the German soldiers leave soon, and Sergei can come out of the trunk and run away from that snake. The boy keeps wandering through the woods until a bomb explodes nearby, and sends him rolling through the dirt. The boy manages to get up, but he is disoriented, and believes there is a beast walking around him. Despite, he speaks to this beast and says he is not afraid. Although he tries to continue on his road, he is weak and soon collapses on the ground. The next day, he gets up but he has had no food for days, so he ends up collapsing again and taking a nap. Luckily for him, two Russian soldiers find him and they take him back to their camp. The soldier who found him, Andrei, apologizes to his commander for prematurely returning from his scouting mission, but he found a little boy in the woods. The commander and the rest of the men take care of the boy, and they make some brief introductions, trying to understand where the boy came from and where his parents are. The camp's cook walks in as well, and he has prepared some food for the little boy. The next morning, the boy wakes up in the camp's infirmary, and a kind woman named Katya is taking care of him. The boy asks her some questions about war and some for the commander, Nikolai. However, he can soon ask those questions to Nikolai directly. As he visits the boy to check up on him, as it seems, Nikolai is a highly decorated officer, and he has received special honors along with an honorary pistol. He gives the pistol to Sergei to examine, and the two of them start talking about bravery, which is the only path to becoming such a highly decorated war veteran. Sergei mentions he is also very brave, because Katya gave him a vaccine with a huge needle. However, he took it like a man because men do not cry, like Nikolai told Sergei yesterday night when he saw him for the first time. When Nikolai walks out of the infirmary, Katya approaches him, and asks him to keep the boy here because he has no family. On the other hand, Nikolai does not like that idea, because the war front is not a place for children. Katya does not want the boy to end up in an orphanage, but Nikolai tells her to cut it out. They can't keep the boy so close to the war. Later, Katya discusses the fact with her fellow nurse. She is afraid she is not going to be able to convince Nikolai to keep the boy here because for him, everything must be done by the book. The next morning, the Russians are alerted as the Germans have broken through their left flank. The Russians have to stop them and they engage in a dangerous fight as they rush towards their enemies. After the battle, Nikolai tells the boy that a car has arrived to take him and he should get going. He has made a wooden honorary weapon for the boy, and Sergei jumps on him to hug him. That hug forces Nikolai to have a change of heart, and he asks the boy if he wants to be his son. Upon getting a positive answer, he decides to adopt the boy and tears apart the papers he had prepared for the boy's removal from the camp. The whole camp is very content about the boy staying with them, and they even make a military uniform for his size. Later, Nikolai wakes the boy up and tells him that a soldier needs to be dressed in 45 seconds. Sergei playfully says he is already dressed, but Nikolai shows him his uniform, making him enormously happy. The next day, the Russian camp is faced with an aerial attack. Nikolai sends the boy to safety, but many other men and women are injured. The boy runs around trying to find Katya or Nikolai, but he can't. One of the male doctors stops Sergei's whining, and tells him to only focus on victory. Right next, the boy walks around the infirmary and starts reading the letters of the soldiers who can't see. However, he does not know how to read and he makes up the letters' content on the way. Soon, Sergei reunites with Katya and Nikolai. There is something in the air among the two adults, but Nikolai can't express himself correctly with the young boy being present. The boy asks if they defeated the Germans, and if there were many of them. The commander, who is also his father now, responds they were able to defeat them. Sergei has started seeing himself as a soldier, and he reports himself to the commander to ask if there is a task he needs to fulfill. The commander tells him the mail will be arriving soon, and it is crucial to be delivered to the soldiers. After doing that, Sergei wanders in the fields, and uses his binoculars to take a look around. Suddenly, he sees a boot moving inside a pile of starch. He runs back to the camp and he notifies Andrei about it as soon as he sees him. Andrei listens to the boy, and takes 2 more men with him in order to go and check Sergei's claims. The soldiers light the starch up to see if anybody will run outside. Indeed, 2 German soldiers were hiding in there, and they come out running. The Germans are arrested and they are taken back to the camp. That night, Sergei runs back to his father and asks him to not treat him like a child because he is a soldier now. This time, the boy has a mission for Nikolai and wants to take him to Katya, because earlier today he saw her crying. They need to check on her. The 2 of them find Katya near the river, but unfortunately there is another soldier already talking to her. The man has brought her some flowers and he says that after the war, he will do anything possible to be with her. Katya is not as friendly towards him, but the guy will not give up his efforts until they are interrupted by Sergei. Soon, there is one more battle raging. The boy runs through the trenches looking for a man named Igor. Eventually, he finds the man and gives him the ammo he has been carrying for him. The Russians are cornered, and they are trying to communicate with their allies. However, the line is not working. The commander orders his tech guy to fix it, but there is not much he can do. The boy hears the order and decides to follow the cable of the landline phone. He has to stay low until he finds a fallen Russian soldier holding onto a discontinued cable. He takes the cable off his hands and connects it with the rest of it, enabling the commander and his men to be able to use the phone. The next morning, Sergei runs to Katya and pretends to be in a panic. He tells Katya that his father is ill, he can't sleep and he can't eat. Katya runs to his cabin and Sergei runs away. Katya wakes the commander up and asks him what is wrong. To her surprise, the commander is perfectly fine. Sergei has lied to her because he wants to bring them closer to each other. However, his plan does not work because Nikolai is a bit awkward and ruins the opportunity. In the meantime, Sergei stumbles upon some military dogs and the soldier that is training them. The soldier allows Sergei to take a ride on the sled with the dogs, but then the dogs see a cat and start running after it uncontrollably. However, he is soon saved by the men. Meanwhile, Katya has run away from the commander's cabin, but he is able to catch up with her. Although things are still a bit awkward, they kind of understand they like each other. Their moment is interrupted by a soldier, who brings the commander a dispatch note. The note states the Russians can leave that camp. And the commander immediately takes his soldiers away. While they march, the Russians are bombed by the Germans and they lose some good men. Finally, the army has some time to rest, and the commander now gives Sergei a new order to fulfill. He must assemble the platoon and take note of their clothing needs. Sergei does exactly that and piles up the soldiers. He orders the ones who have torn boots to take 1 step forward, and then has one of the other officers write down the names of the soldiers that need new boots. The next morning, Sergei's contribution to the regiment is recognized by a general, and he receives a higher rank. At night, the war continues and the Russians are bombed again. Sergei is separated from his father, and loses him in the darkness of the night. The next day, he finds his father in the hospital. Even though he is injured, he feels happy to see the boy is fine. Some months later, the war ends and Sergei is awarded with a medal for his bravery, having contributed as much as he could.